46.5. Cal versus Washington State from 55 down to 50. And Cal can play really slow and be pretty lethargic on offense there. What's Washington State going to be like? They play fast. That's a tough one. And then finally, Utah State versus Hawaii under 70.5. That is your sharp action report, my friends. That does it for college. Best of luck to everyone. Let's get into some NFL and some UFC with Cub Fan Danny. All right, we are back with NFL Week 9. We got our man Cub Fan Danny. What's happening, bud?
Hey, what's going on? Long time.
Yeah, man, it's been like a month. NFL's just been rolling. How's it been going on your side for the NFL?
Yeah, really good, really good. There's been some nice wins this season, so can't complain at all.
Yeah, Kansas City was hot for a long time. I know you rode that train for a while. The Bears seem to cover at home. There's some tidbits that we definitely found. I definitely came up to the profitable area of NFL, and it was below that for a while. So I'm really happy about that. But I'm really excited to get into Week 9 here with some scary picks here since it's Halloween today. Hopefully they're not too scary when the games happen, right? But people will be getting this podcast probably the day after. But anyway, happy Halloween, my man. And
same to you.
Thank you. And hopefully this first pick won't scare anybody too much. We're going to look at the Tampa Bay versus Carolina game. Carolina laying 6.5 points. All right, so this Fitzmagic thing, he got us last week. I'm not going to lie. Jameis Winston was the one I handicapped, and he was getting his ass kicked, and Fitzmagic came back and all of a sudden closed it out and almost won the game, ended up tying it, and their lack of defense is why Cincinnati scored that last field goal to win it. But they, that sucked, but I'm not afraid to go back to the Fade and Fitzmagic train because he is a different man when he is a starter. Just like in baseball, closers versus starters. Now, he did well against the Eagles last, when he did start. That one start that he had, coming back, he wasn't the starting quarterback. He was still looked at as Winston, and he did well. So that's where the difference is. He knew Winston was coming back. I think that now that he is as the starter, it's his job to lose. This is where Fitzpatrick kind of screws up. Tampa Bay, I think that they have a great offense if done right, but their defense is just so bad. Carolina has improved their pass rush these last 3 games to 3 sacks per game, and that's kind of in the top tier. They were bad in sacks early, but they got a couple guys back from suspension and injuries, and now they are hitting the quarterback again. The Panthers also have a top 10 defense in points allowed now at 21. Tampa's worst at 33. So just look at what the defense stops. 21 versus 33. There's 12 points right there. So let's just say Tampa's just a little bit better on offense. They're not a lot better than Carolina. They got Greg Olsen back. So let's just say they're 3 points better. Well, that's still looking at just the flat score numbers is 9 points. If you look at the injury report, Tampa may have lost another cornerback, MJ Stewart, man. And with Hargraves and Conti already on IR, their backfield's very depleted. Vita Vea is also banged up too. We're watching the injury report on that, but I like how Carolina's offense has improved since Greg Olsen's been back, and I like how DJ Moore is progressing. So the key here, I think, is what I like to look at is yards per point. It kind of shows how efficient this team is. Tampa Bay needs 16.3 yards to score 1 point, and Carolina only needs 14.1 yards to score 1 point. You add them all up, it makes a big difference. On defense, Tampa gives up a league worst 12.1 yards per point, while Carolina is top 10 and gives up only 16.2 yards per point. And that's the main reason why Carolina is ranked 4th overall out of all 32 teams in efficiency and Tampa ranks 29th. So I have no problem laying the points with Carolina minus 6.5.
I looked at that game too, right? And Fitzpatrick, he is, if you are an NFL fan, he's the guy that you want as your backup quarterback, as long as you have an established quarterback, right? Like a Roethlisberger, pick any of the top guys, right? Because if something happens, you got somebody coming in there. And the guy could throw for 400, 500 yards in any given day. And I really like that. And I know Tampa's been giving up a lot of points, right? But look at the teams that they've played: the Saints, the Eagles, the Steelers, the Bears, the Falcons, the Browns, and the Bengals. All really good teams, right? And all those teams can score. So they've had a gauntlet of a schedule. It's been brutal for these guys, right? And when Winston came back, he's not the same quarterback as Fitzgerald, right? And Fitzgerald, these guys want the ball thrown. Fitzpatrick, want the ball thrown to him deep and as many times as possible. That is awesome. My only concern with Fitzpatrick is, what are you going to get, right? And like I said, he could throw for 500. The next week he'll throw for 250 and 5 interceptions and blow the game. So it's really scary, right? And Carolina's been playing really well, right? Like you said, they've been playing well. Their defense is playing really well at the same time. So I like your pick. I think it's great, but I'm just always nervous. That's why I didn't touch the game, just because I don't know what I'm going to get from Fitzpatrick.
All right, Danny. Well, let's move on, my man. What's your first pick for the audience?
Okay, so what train have you been on all year long?
Well, KC,
right? And I am on that train again this week, right? Look, I said in the beginning of the year, the Browns head coach, Hugh Jackson, he stinks, right? I don't care how much talent they got in there. That guy stinks. And guess what happened this week? They fired him. They just not only fired him, but they fired the offensive coordinator as well, and Todd Haley. That's not good, right? And when you're looking at a rookie quarterback and coming into a middle of the season, picking up an offense from somebody else that was running the running backs and wide receivers, that's not a good combination for me, right? So I know their defense is okay. Their offense makes me worried. Their team makes me worried because of that whole coaching staff. Now their defensive coordinator, who's a defensive guy, is going to take over this team and try to get this rookie quarterback up and moving and getting the ball into the end zone and moving in a positive direction. I know that Kansas City does not have the best defense, right? But this is almost a perfect scenario for them to have a good week because of the changeover and potentially change in philosophy and maybe learning something new with that rookie quarterback. I don't like that at all. I hate that combination. Okay. Now, it's not about KC's defense. We're talking about the MVP, Patrick Mahomes, and that offense, right? That offense is amazing. 40, 45 points whenever they want to do it. They're the Golden State Warriors of NFL with their offense. It's just absolutely amazing, right? So they're going to be able to drop 40. And if they drop 35, 38, are they still going to be able to cover the -9? I think so. I have no confidence in that Cleveland team putting up more than 20 points, okay? So even if they get to 21, I could still see the Kansas City Chiefs getting into the 30 range, high 30 range, and blowing this team out pretty quick. So I'm going to lay the 9, and I'm going to take the Chiefs once again. And really, it's because of that coaching staff gone and learning everything brand new this week.
KC's defense has stepped it up the last few games as well. So I told our listeners, you got to bet. You always bet a team that fires a coach because the players play better the very next week. This case, they fired a coach and their offense coordinator. So
right.
I can't do the number on that. It's probably more of a no play for me, even though this line is short. This line should be 13. How are the Patriots only laying 14 at Buffalo, yet KC only lays 9 at Cleveland? There's not that big of a difference between those teams. And that KC and New England are pretty much even on a neutral field. Yeah, that line is short. So if I was going to bet it, I would definitely be on the side of KC as well. Possibly the over as well, as you mentioned, if you think that those many points would be scored this week. Let's move on to the next game. I have Atlanta versus Washington. Washington is laying 2 points here. So here's another story of a banged up, shitty road team here. So Atlanta, they're 0-2 against the spread as a road team, while Washington is 3-1 at home. Atlanta lost Devontae Freeman this year and hasn't been able to have that great run game that made them so good 2 years ago when they went to the Super Bowl. Plus, they don't have Shanahan, of course, that knows how to, call plays. They are third worst in the league at 83 yards per game, while Adrian Peterson's back in Washington to his old ways, pounding the rock, not being tackled, going for hundreds of yards. The Redskins average 128 yards per game rushing, which is top 8 in the league. Want to talk about defense? Washington is top 5, while the Falcons rank in the bottom 3 in yards in the game. Two ends of the spectrum, literally, on these 2 points, right? Now, Matt Ryan is a great passing quarterback at home on the turf in a dome, right? Averaging 360 yards per game at home. But the key here is that he only averages 268 yards per game on the road. He's losing games on the road. This game it's only going to take a good game manager. Like Alex Smith doesn't have to do much here. They're going to pound the rock. They're going to let their defense do what it does best. I have no problems taking the Redskins minus 2 points here.
Hey, I like it, right? And I actually like Alex Smith as a quarterback, okay? I think he gets a bad rap. He was a number 1 pick, right? And Aaron Rodgers went 20 picks later than him, right? And everybody compares to him. He's a good quarterback, okay? And when with the Redskins this year, last year they were injured quite a bit last year. So this is a great turnaround year for them. They beat the Giants, Dallas, Carolina, back to back to back. They beat Green Bay this year. And Alex Smith has done well in all those games, right? So I really like that pick. And that was one of the ones that I was going to talk about today. But you want to know what? You jumped on it. You did it. And I'm really, I love it. Great pick.
Awesome, my man. What do you have next on the docket?
All right, so this is going to be a good game up in Seattle this weekend with the Chargers going into Seattle, okay? So the Chargers coming in after a bye, all right? They've won 4 in a row. They haven't beaten the best teams out there, but what they've done really well the past this year is they protecting Phillip Rivers. They're running the ball, and that offense is actually moving the ball. And their defense is playing pretty good as well, all right? They're coming off a bye week, which I love, right? Get healthy, middle of the season, they're getting healthy. And on top of it, there's a chance that Joey Bosa is going to be coming back this week, right? Their offense is number 6 in the NFL right now with yards per passing. They're putting up 20 points, 27 points per game. They're doing really well. They've taken some tough teams, but they're sitting at 5-2 right now, right? And they're kind of the sleeper here in the AFC, which got a bunch of good teams. Now the Seahawks, they started slow. They started 0-2, but they're playing really well right now. I think they're getting their identity with running the ball more. Wilson has some pressure taken off him. Last week he had a perfect quarterback rating, which you don't see very often, and he does that with not a lot of talent on the outside or even tight ends, right? So he had a great week last year. And look, they started 0-2. They're now 4-2. They're doing really well. I expect them to put up a good game, right? Mm-hmm. Look, the line right now, the Chargers are getting 1.5 points, okay? I'm going to go with the Chargers this week. Rivers is playing awesome again this year. He's like father time. He'll play till 60, and he's going to throw these bombs and throw for 350 every single game. And going into Seattle, this guy's a veteran. He's not a rookie. He's not 3rd year, 4th year. He's a veteran. He's been around a long time. Going into Seattle, I know it's a tough place to play. I don't think he's going to get rattled from the crowd up there. So with the Chargers coming off the bye, only going to help them. I like the Chargers not only with the 1.5 points, but I think they're going to win this game outright and end up at 6-2.
Unfortunately, Bosa just had a report, and it was earlier today. It was yesterday, actually, and it also came out today a couple places. He's not coming back this week. And,
all right.
So that's what concerned me. But I actually have a play on this game too, okay? And I like one play more than the other. So these teams have been playing pretty good on offense, lately. Both of them, actually. And